With only 1 week left before the Johto Tour event begins, I'm sure many of you are still undecided on whether or not to actually buy a ticket, and maybe even which version to pick. What's going on, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video I'm going to be breaking down all of the event details along with the best aspects to focus on throughout the day for the Johto Tour, with and without a ticket. Okay, so let's go and get started with the event details here first. The Johto Tour event is going to take place on February 26th from 9 AM to 9 PM your local time, and the ticket cost is going to be $12 US. This will vary depending on where you live. You can choose between the gold and silver versions as well, and we're going to cover the differences on those two later on. So before we actually dive into the event ticket bonuses, I figure we should go over the non-ticket bonuses for all the free-to-play players out there. So first of all, the spawns that day will feature quote-unquote some Johto Pokemon. Niantic was kind of vague about this, so we really don't know how many Johto Pokemon are going to be featured for non-ticket holders. Now, even though we don't know which Johto Pokemon are going to be featured in the wild spawns for non-ticket holders, what we do know is that some of the Kanto Pokemon are also going to be making an appearance, specifically the ones that have evolutions in the Johto region. So I'm going to read through these right now. Poliwhirl, Golbat, Gloom, Slowpoke, Onix, Chansey, Seadra, Scyther, Porygon, and finally Eevee. Now, very similar to last year's event, we're also going to have themed habitat rotations appear once again, which are going to rotate every single hour from 9 AM to 7 PM. So these are going to be the themed habitat rotations: New Barktown, Violet City, National Park, Goldenrod City, and finally Mount Silver. Each of these rotations will have 2 cycles, and again, they're going to go in the same order that I just read them off on screen. And then finally, during the last 2 hours of the event, we're going to have all of the habitat spawns available, which is actually pretty nice. It's going to be the best time to grind in my opinion. Now let's go and take a look at some of the featured raids. So for 1-star and 3-star raids, we're going to have Corsola and Heracross respectively, both of them with their shiny forms available. And for those of you who don't know this, Corsola and Heracross are both regional Pokemon. So I definitely do recommend going for both of them. Corsola isn't really meta, but its shiny is pretty nice. Heracross is meta, and we're going to cover that a little bit more in detail later on in the video. Now when it comes down to 5-star raids, we're going to have the featured legendary Pokemon, Raikou, Entei, Suicune, Lugia, and Ho-Oh with all of their shiny forms available. Ho-Oh will have the exclusive moveset Sacred Fire, and Lugia will have the exclusive moveset Aeroblast. Both of these legendary Pokemon are actually going to be very meta relevant in the Master League, and once again, we're going to touch on this a little bit more later on in the video. But definitely, I would say out of all 5 of those legendary Pokemon, those are going to be the top 2 to focus on. And then finally, I also want to mention this as well, Deoxys Speed Form will not be appearing in raids during this event window. Now if we take a look at the featured 2-kilometer eggs, all of the available baby Pokemon from the Johto region are going to be available. So specifically Pichu, Cleffa, Igglybuff, Togepi, Tyrogue, Smoochum, Elekid, and then finally Magby. So definitely a really good pull right there because every single one of these baby Pokemon can be shiny, with Tyrogue being one of the new shinies that is going to be released during this event. Now following that, we are going to have 2 timed research available to all trainers. The first one is going to be related to trainer battles, and you can actually turn off this feature after you've battled them once according to Pokeminers. Now for the second timed research, this will lead to encounters with Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, so I thought that was actually really awesome. I don't know the details specifically for these timed research, but I just know that we're going to be getting 2, and those are going to be some of the details that I have for them. Now additionally on top of that, we're also going to have 6 special trades available during the day. Unfortunately though, there's not going to be an increased distance range, so just if you're playing with somebody in the area, make sure to get those special trades done. I would recommend trading shinies or, just some Pokemon maybe you don't have in the Pokedex or like a legendary Pokemon. Definitely try to utilize this because 6 special trades a day, that's a pretty sweet deal. Now I'm sure some of you are probably wondering this as well, is Shiny Smeargle also going to be turned on during this event? Because normally the shiny is actually turned off. And the answer is yes. So this will be featured during this event. I don't know how many snapshots we're going to be able to get with Smeargle, but just know that if you do get one, you do have a chance of it actually being shiny, which is definitely a really, really rare shiny in game. And then finally, the last thing that I want to go over in terms of the non-ticket holder bonuses for free-to-play players here is going to be the exclusive movesets upon evolution. The available Pokemon that can get the exclusive Calm Day movesets are going to be Meganium with Frenzy Plant, Typhlosion with Blast Burn, Feraligatr with Hydro Cannon, Tyranitar with Smackdown, Espeon and Umbreon with, I believe, Last Resort, and then Mamoswine with Ancient Power. So Espeon and Mamoswine, I wouldn't really focus on these too much. Their exclusive Calm Day movesets aren't really that good. The rest of them though, Meganium, Typhlosion, Feraligatr, Tyranitar, and Umbreon are all going to be meta-relevant Pokemon. So I would definitely try to get some good IV spreads for them. We're going to cover whether or not you should be going for PvP IV spreads or for raid IV spreads later on in the video though. And then I guess this is a good time to mention mention this as well for Espeon and Umbreon, even though Umbreon is going to be the main focus here. There's not going to be a walking requirement to evolve these two. Normally you need to evolve, one during the day, one during the night, Espeon during the day, Umbreon during the night, and you have to walk 10 kilometers before you can do that. Well, you don't actually have to walk 10 kilometers during this event window, and you actually have 2 hours after the event ends to continue evolving, which is actually pretty cool. So you definitely have some good opportunity right there to get a good Espeon or a good Umbreon if you want that. Again, Espeon, I wouldn't really focus on it too much, it's not meta relevant. So that's basically everything that you guys are going to get if you don't purchase a ticket, which in my opinion is actually really solid. Now what about if you do purchase a ticket? What are you going to get out of it? So let's go over those bonuses right now. So we talked about the spawns earlier being not consistent, right? You're not going to be able to get every single Johto Pokemon. Well, that's not the case for the ticket holders. For the ticket holders, you can actually get access to every single Johto Pokemon available, either through wild spawns, raids, research, incense, or eggs. So theoretically, you should be able to complete the entire Johto Pokedex during this event, if you buy a ticket. The next bonus is going to be 10 themed collection challenges. This will most likely go hand in hand with the habitat rotations. Following that, we also have 1/4 hatch distance and 2 times candy for catching as well as hatching. In my opinion, I feel like certain Pokemon will definitely make this bonus a little bit more worth it. For example, Togepi from hatching eggs, or Togetic from the wild spawns. I'm not really sure how common Togetic is going to be to see in the wild, but definitely if you do see it, make sure that you Pineapple Berry it, Silver Pineapple Berry if you have to, because that is definitely worth the candy. The next really big bonus I feel like for the ticket holders is going to be the 2 times special research. So you're going to get 2 different special research quests. I don't have the specific details for the quest lines, but I'm going to go over the key Pokemon. So for the first one, you're going to be able to encounter Celebi with the exclusive fast move Magical Leaf if you catch it during the event. So don't stockpile your Celebi for later. Make sure that you guys catch it during the event to get the exclusive moveset Magical Leaf. And then for the second one, you're going to have a special Masterwork research, which is going to feature Apex Shadow Lugia as well as Apex Shadow Ho-Oh, both with the exclusive movesets Sacred Fire Plus as well as Aeroblast Plus respectively for each of those Pokemon. Now I really don't have the time to break down these 2 Pokemon in a separate video, so I'm just going to go over their meta relevance right now and what these plus moves actually mean. So for the raid/gym meta, this is going to be an additional boost to these movesets. Now, we also have to factor in the Shadow Boost, right? For those of you who don't know how that works, I definitely recommend checking out my recent Shadow video, which goes over the top 30 best Shadows to power up. It also includes a very detailed explanation in terms of the Shadow bonus. But anyways, we're not going to go into that right now just for the sake of time. So essentially, Sacred Fire Plus and Aeroblast Plus is going to be like an extra plus 20 damage to each of these movesets. And then if you actually purify them, they're going to have Sacred Fire Plus Plus and Aeroblast Plus Plus, which does additional damage for the moveset, but you also lose the Shadow bonus. So what makes more sense? Should you purify them or should you just leave them as shadows? So because of the Shadow boost, I would definitely recommend leaving them as shadows because you're going to get much more bang for your buck this way opposed to if you actually purified them. In my opinion, this is a really weird decision from Niantic because I feel like they tried to make purification more appealing, but the Shadow boost is just way better, so yeah. And then when it comes down to their meta relevance, I mean, for the Master League, you guys definitely have the option if you get a really good IV spread, but I'm assuming most of you probably won't, so in terms of the raid/gym meta, Shadow Ho-Oh with Sacred Fire Plus is going to be the best takeaway here. I don't really think Shadow Lugia is going to make any ground with Aeroblast Plus. It just doesn't have a fast flying moveset, which really just kind of kills it altogether for a flying type attacker. So when it comes down to it, Shadow Ho-Oh is definitely going to be the way to go. And then finally, the last special Pokemon I want to go over is going to be that you guys will get a guaranteed shiny Gyarados. Don't know if that's going to be in the Celebi special research or in the Masterwork research. They didn't really specify. I'm assuming the Celebi one though. Next up, let's talk about raid passes. So this is usually a really big takeaway in terms of overall value for when you're buying a ticket. So you're going to get 9 free raid passes by spinning gym stops, and you're also going to get an additional 3 remote raid passes from the shop. So in total, this comes out to about $11.50 worth of value. So when it comes down to it, the ticket basically pays for itself if you end up using all of the raid passes, which I hope you guys would do. And I feel like it's also really important to mention that the shiny odds will be boosted for Lugia and Ho-Oh respectively, depending on which version that you guys actually pick. We're going to go over this in a second in more detail, but I just wanted to mention that right now. The next bonus that I'm going to be going over are going to be the featured unknown letters for this event. So specifically, you're going to get the letters G, O, T, U, R, and J, and all of these letters can be shiny. So that's actually pretty solid right there. And then finally, the avatar items that you're going to get when purchasing this ticket are going to be the exclusive Ho-Oh wings plus the Lugia mask. So all in all, you guys definitely get a lot of cool bonuses from actually buying the ticket. But what about the version exclusives, right? Gold versus silver, which is actually the better version? Well, let's break it down right now and go over all the differences that you guys are going to see. So for each version, there are going to be 4 exclusive Pokemon from Incense. So from Gold version, you're going to get Spinarak, Gligar, Teddiursa, and Mantine. And then from Silver version, you're going to get Ledba, Delibird, Skarmory, and Phanpy. To my understanding, those are going to be the only exclusive Pokemon, and they're all going to be from Incense. The rest of the Pokemon that I'm going to go over right now are not necessarily going to be exclusives, but rather they're going to have a special shiny boost, which again, the rates weren't disclosed, but I'm going to assume it's anywhere around like 1 out of 50 or 1 out of 75 based on previous events. Normal rates are about 1 out of 500, by the way, so this is a pretty nice bonus. But again, you're going to only get the shiny bonus on certain Pokemon depending on which version that you guys actually picked. And I will mention this as well, all the starter Pokemon plus Hoppip will be featured in both ticket events. So you're going to have the shiny boost for all of those, doesn't matter which one you end up picking. So right now I'm just going to go over all of the notable shiny Pokemon from each respective version. I'm not going to go over everything because I feel like some Pokemon are a little bit more common than others in terms of their shiny potential. So specifically in Gold version, we're going to have Spinarak, which is kind of a new shiny. We're going to have Igglybuff, which is going to be exclusive from 2 Kilometer Eggs. We're going to have Wobbuffet, Shuckle, Mantine, and Ho-Oh. So those are going to be the ones that I feel like are the most valuable shinies. When it comes down to some of the other shinies like Natu, Sunkern, Mischievous, Gligar, Teddiursa, Swinub even, I feel like you see those Pokemon a little bit more frequently, so they're not super rare. Plus we've already had a Calm Day for Swinub, and we also had that Incense Day too, I think, or like a Research Day. I forgot which one it was, but you guys get my point here. The ones that I just mentioned, again, Spinarak, Igglybuff, Wobbuffet, Shuckle, Mantine, and Ho-Oh, those are going to be the ones with the most value. Now for Silver version, we're going to have Cleffa, Sudowoodo, Pineco, Phanpy, Miltank, Larvitar, and Lugia. This is a very subjective opinion right now in terms of what I personally believe are going to be the rarest shinies. So of course, like the ones I just mentioned, I feel like you guys definitely have some good potential from each version depending on which one you guys want the most. I feel like a good way to decide as well is depending on which legendary you want the most. Like if you really like Ho-Oh or if you really like Lugia, both of these Pokemon are very meta relevant in the Master League, Open as well as Classic. So you do have an increased shiny chance to get either of these Pokemon depending on which version that you actually pick. So that could be a really good decision right there on top of all the other shinies that you end up getting in terms of the rare ones. But overall, it really comes down to personal preference and what shinies that you're currently missing in game. Initially, at first glance, I feel like Silver version actually has a bit more potential in terms of valuable shinies. But really, guys, it could go either way. It's not by like a big difference or anything like that. So I'm really curious as well, which version are you going to be ending up picking? Let me know in the comment section down below and sort of why you ended up making a decision. Was it for a specific shiny, a bunch of shinies, Ho-Oh, Lugia? Let me know in the comment section down below. Regardless though, whether you end up buying a ticket or you don't end up buying a ticket, these are going to be the Pokemon that you guys should be focusing on. So first of all, we have Meganium, which evolves from Chikorita with the exclusive Calm Day moveset Frenzy Plant. This Pokemon is going to be good in the Great League as well as the Ultra League. The next Pokemon is going to be my personal favorite, Typhlosion with the exclusive moveset Blast Burn. This Pokemon is going to be good in the Ultra League. And then finally for the starters, we are going to have Feraligatr with Hydro Cannon, specifically good in the Ultra League. This Pokemon in my opinion is really more of a spice pick, but I have used it quite a bit in the Ultra League just due to the meta, and I feel like it can work pretty well, so if you guys end up getting a good PvP IV spread, definitely build one for the Ultra League, or at least evolve one at the very least. And then just for fun, I asked you guys a few weeks ago which was your favorite Gen 2 starter Pokemon in a poll, and most of you actually voted Typhlosion/Cyndaquil, which I was so happy to see. I'm so proud of all of you guys. I know it's a very subjective opinion, but you know, whichever starter you picked, I'm not shaming you or anything like that. I just thought it was really cool that most of you ended up picking Typhlosion. Second pick was Feraligatr, and then finally Meganium was the least favorite option. I like all of the Gen 2 starters, but Typhlosion is definitely my favorite without a doubt. The next meta-relevant Pokemon is going to be Noctowl, which evolves from Hoothoot. This is going to be a meta-relevant in the Great League specifically. This Pokemon recently just got buffed, so previously it wasn't that good, but more recently it has been a little bit more meta-relevant, which is kind of nice, so definitely another one to focus on right there. The next Pokemon is going to be Togekiss, which is going to be meta-relevant in the Great League, the Ultra League, the Master League, as well as the Raid/Gym meta. This Pokemon is the most well-rounded in terms of what you guys should be focusing on. Like I mentioned earlier, if you guys can hatch Togepi from eggs or you can catch Togetic in the wild, that is going to be the move. Make sure that you guys Pineapple Berry every single one of those if you catch them in the wild, and yeah, you should be pretty solid. Togekiss, in my opinion, is one of the best Pokemon to use in the game because you have functionality in all PvP leagues, in the raid/gym meta, and even as a gym defender if you really want to use it. So yeah, I really can't go wrong with this Pokemon. Moving on over to our next Pokemon, we're going to have Ampharos, specifically good in the Ultra League as well as the raid/gym meta in its Mega Evolution form. Not quite as good as Mega Manectric, but definitely a really solid option. Also, the Mega form is currently available in the Mega Raids right now, so definitely make sure to get at least 3 of those done so you guys can get the Mega Energy to evolve it in the future. But if you end up getting like a really good IV spread during the Johto Tour event, even better. Moving on over to our next Pokemon, we have Azumarill, which is one of the kings or queens in the Great League, and this Pokemon is a powerhouse. Extra large Azumarill is going to be the way to go. I believe the ideal spread is either 1-15-15 or 0-15-15. The next Pokemon I'm going to talk about is going to be Quillfish, more of a niche option in my opinion because I think it was Toxic Cup that I used it in. That was really good, so definitely a solid option right there. It's not a common Pokemon you see in the wild either, which is why I'm really recommending going for it right now while it is available. And yeah, if you get a good IV spread, definitely save that for a rainy day. Following that, we are going to talk about Heracross. We did mention this earlier on in the video. This is going to be exclusively from raids only, and this is normally a regional Pokemon. Heracross is going to be meta relevant in the Ultra League as well as the Master League, and then just for future prepping right now, if you end up building one for the Master League, which would ideally be the Hundo, you also have the potential to Mega Evolve it in the future when that eventually gets released. Next option is going to be another PvP Pokemon. This is going to be Magcargo. I kind of debated putting this on the list because Slugma is so common in the wild, to be honest, but Magcargo in the Great League is definitely going to be a solid option right there, so look out for a good IV spread on that. I feel like Mantine is more of a spice pick for the special cups, but definitely look out for a good Great League spread because I feel like you don't see this Pokemon too often in the wild. The next Pokemon that we're going to talk about is going to be Skarmory for the Great League, a really solid option right here. It is not a spicy pick, guys, it is a meta pick. Following that, the next Pokemon is going to be Houndoom, specifically in its Mega form. This is really where its meta relevance comes in. After that, we do have Electivire, specifically in the Master League Premier Cup as well as the raid/gym meta. The reason why I'm not mentioning Great League or Ultra League is because you can only get this Pokemon by hatching Elekid. So if you end up hatching like a really good IV spread Elekid, you can evolve that into Electivire and then use it in that respective league or the raid/gym meta. Following Electivire, we have another Gen 4 Pokemon coming up next that is going to be Mamoswine, which is going to have meta relevance in the Master League as well as the raid/gym meta. Mamoswine is a phenomenal ice type attacker. Definitely try to get a good IV Swinub or a good IV Piloswine during this event. One of our final Pokemon here is going to be the pseudo-legendary Tyranitar with the exclusive moveset Smackdown. I really recommend focusing in on this specific moveset just for the potential Mega in the future. Normally Tyranitar does really function well as a Dark type attacker as well as a Rock type attacker with Smackdown, but really just looking ahead, I feel like you have better options currently for the Rock type category as well as the Dark type category, but for the Mega Evolution, that's going to be the real important one to focus on. So Tyranitar with Smackdown, or sorry, Mega Tyranitar with Smackdown and Stone Edge is probably going to be number 1 in the meta. We don't know when that's going to happen, but if you can get a good IV spread now, that's going to be to your benefit. And then just for the overall Dark type attacker, it doesn't really matter if you evolve it during the event, but I feel like that's easier to get than a Smackdown Tyranitar, so really put an emphasis on that one. Now when it comes down to legendary Pokemon, there's only really 3 that caught my eye here. Entei and Suicune really just weren't it, but Raikou for the raid/gym meta is still a pretty good option. I wouldn't power it up to level 40 these days because you definitely have better options out there, but a level 30 Raikou, just to have one, maybe even a shiny, that would be definitely okay with me. And then of course our main featured Pokemon here, Lugia with Aeroblast and Hoa with Sacred Fire. Both of these Pokemon are going to have very good meta relevance in the Master League. Now for the raid/gym meta, not so much. Once again, Shadow Ho and Shadow Lugia, different story, specifically Shadow Ho. Now we do actually have a few more Pokemon that I want to go over right now. These are going to be the Kanto specific Pokemon. So for their evolutions, we're just going to go over their final evolutions right now. First one is going to be Crobat for the Ultra League. This thing is definitely a must get if you don't have a good IV spread already. Crobat in the Ultra League Premier Cup is one of the best Pokemon to use. I hate seeing it, I love using it. That is like the perfect combination to define a good Pokemon in my opinion. Next up, we're going to have Politoed in the Great League as well as the Ultra League. I think for Politoed in the Ultra League, you're going to need the extra large version though. Another really amazing pick right now is going to be Umbreon in the Great League as well as the Ultra League with the exclusive Calm Day moveset Last Resort. Next up, we have Scizor for the Great League and the Ultra League, and then we have Kingdra for the Ultra League. Kingdra is definitely a staple with Octazooka, so definitely try to get a good IV spread on that. And then finally, for the last Kanto-specific Pokemon or evolution Pokemon, it's going to be Blissey as a gym defender. And then finally, I just want to go over these meta-relevant Shadow Pokemon if you already have Frustration TM'd away on them. Specifically for Meganium and Typhlosion, Meganium is going to be really good in a Shadow form in the Great League and the Ultra League, Typhlosion in the Ultra League. Tyranitar is going to be really good with Smackdown, which I actually think you can just get without even having to have Frustration TM'd away, so if you end up getting like a Shadow Larvitar during the event, you can still get Smackdown with Frustration there, and it's not gonna, be the end of the world, which I think is really cool. Weavile, I don't think you need any exclusive Comday movesets, and same thing with Mamoswine. Both of those are really, really good shadows to get, but all in all, I wouldn't focus too much on the shadows during this event. You guys definitely have a lot of other Pokemon to focus on. So you guys have 12 hours during this event. Definitely make it count. You have a lot of meta-relevant Pokemon to go for. Hopefully you do already have some of the Pokemon that I already mentioned, and you guys can focus in specifically on what you guys want. But yeah, for those of you that are newer players, you got a lot to work on here. And if I had to prioritize any of them, well, it would probably be the ones with the exclusive movesets. So we went over all of the meta Pokemon that I think you guys should focus on. There's definitely a lot of options out there, whether you're a newer player or a more experienced player. But of course, we go back to the main question of this video. Would I buy this ticket for $12? So I'm just going to give you guys my opinion, take it for what you will. I think the minimum value is definitely there, but I don't feel like this goes above and beyond in my opinion. When I look back at the Kanto Tour event, Shiny Ditto and Shiny Mew definitely made me feel like I was missing out on those Pokemon, and I was going to regret it if I didn't get them. And yeah, I definitely did. I mean, I'm a free-to-play player, so I don't know, I was kind of feeling weird about buying it anyways, but when I look back, I really do regret not having a Shiny Mew for the Great League, and I feel like that's a very pay-to-win aspect to look at the game now, because you have Pokemon that are released through these ticketed events, and they definitely provide a significant advantage in PvP if you are able to get them. So with that being said, taking a look at Celebi, which is going to be the featured Pokemon this time around, it's really not that crazy good in PvP, like even with Magical Leaf, so definitely not a deal breaker right there. Apex, Shadow Ho-Oh, and Lugia are also kind of whatever. They don't change in terms of their meta relevance in PvP, so there's no like pay to win aspect in terms of that. But in terms of their raid potential, I feel like that is really solid for them. They're not like super meta breaking, right? Like Shadow Moltres, Shadow Entei are still going to be better than Shadow Ho-Oh with Sacred Fire Plus. But it is kind of nice to actually see it be somewhat meta-relevant because it's just been getting shafted time and time again. Now with that being said though, if you guys are shiny hunters, this event may be more worth it for you than some of the other players. But this is purely RNG based, and sometimes people end up having really bad luck during these events and kind of just blame it as just a terrible experience altogether. It's really important to note that at the end of the day, nothing is going to be guaranteed. Like, some people may come out of this event with 20 shinies, some people may come out of this event with 5 shinies. It is equally as possible. So I really feel like I can't value the ticket's worth based on the shiny potential, because these shinies are also going to be available after this event ends, during future events. It's not exclusive to this event. It may be more difficult, it may be more rare to get certain shinies opposed to during this event, but I feel like in terms of overall value, I can't really put a price on that. So altogether, right, I don't feel like personally this ticket is worth it for me. I wouldn't buy it for the additional bonuses even if I wasn't free to play. I think the free version is more than adequate for what you're getting. Either way, regardless if you're going to buy the ticket or you're not going to buy the ticket, I would definitely try to reserve some time on the weekend to make sure that you guys can actually play during this event, because like I said, the free version is definitely adequate. It's definitely worth going out and playing. And personally speaking here, just to share a little of my insight, as I'm working through tax season right now, guys, I've been doing 60+ hours every week. And that is the bare minimum that I have to do in my job. So I've been working really hard. I'm gonna try to work really, really hard, do like super long hours on Monday through Friday so I can play on Saturday. But do what you gotta do, guys. Either you can take the day off, get a PTO day right there, or just try to work around your schedule, because this is gonna be an event that you don't wanna miss out on, even if you don't end up buying the ticket. But anyways, guys, that is going to be my overall analysis / breakdown for the Johto Tour event. If you guys still want some more informative content, you guys can check out these videos right here. But before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.